Okay guys, today we are going to be talking about the literary device of character foils, especially in literature. First of all, what is a foil? In fiction, a foil is a character who contrasts with another character. And this is usually the protagonist in order to highlight particular qualities of the other character. It's also used to see what certain characters who wouldn't normally have things in common with each other would have in common with each other. Some things to consider when looking at foils in characters is that usually the foil contrasts the protagonist. However, this is not always the case. The most famous type of foil is the classic good guy versus bad guy scenario, where both the hero and the villain can be considered the other's foil, in that each acts to show how the other behaves in certain situations. However, it's not just always the good guy versus the bad guy. Sidekicks of the protagonist can often serve as foils, as well as sidekicks of the villains as well. They can be something that the hero or villain himself is not. So for example, if the hero or villain is hot-headed, the sidekick could be calm and practical. Think of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson from the character story of Sherlock Holmes. Some famous examples include Frodo Baggins and Gollum from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. These two are supposed to serve as opposites of one another, one obviously being good, Frodo, and the other obviously being bad, Gollum. But an interesting thing that happens here is that Gollum, who was once known as Smeagol, was exactly like Frodo. It's just the ring of power corrupted him. And in the end, Frodo was tempted by the ring just like Gollum was. So the fact that they are both opposites doesn't really matter in the sense that they are also very similar. So J.R.R. Tolkien used them as foils of one another in a really interesting way. You can have more than one foil for each character. For example, Gollum is seen as the most popular foil of Frodo, but Samwise Gamgee, could also be considered a foil for Frodo, whereas Sam is the sidekick of Frodo and is very seen as kind of dumb and plain, whereas Frodo is more brave and smart. Frodo was tempted by the ring, but Sam had a better heart for it. He was able to resist the temptation. So again, another interesting foil being shown there. Another very famous foil is, of course, Batman and the Joker, both seeming as very different. They are arch nemeses, I guess you could say, of one another. Batman is the good guy, of course, right? And Joker is the bad guy, of course. Black and white, right and wrong. However, these two cross the lines. I don't really know if the Joker really ever crosses the line into good, but Batman certainly does cross the line sometimes into the gray. So it's interesting to use them as a foil to highlight the characteristics of one another, and in many ways that they are similar. Finally, a really famous foil is, of course, Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy. Now, a lot of people would assume then that Voldemort is a foil for Harry Potter, and he is. Same way just as Ron is also a foil for Harry Potter, being the sidekick. But one of the most famous ones in the story is, of course, Draco and Harry. One seen as good, the other seen as bad. One light-haired, one dark-haired. You even see it in their appearance at the same time, and their attitudes also. But it's also really interesting to note their similarities. Draco wanted to be Harry's friend at the beginning of the book, but Harry dismissed him. Harry was going to be sorted into the Slytherin house, just like Draco was. Draco never really wanted to be a part of the dark side. We find that out towards the end of the book. And Harry has done some things and was kind of angsty there for a while that were considered bad. So again, they are foils of one another. We see this all over literature and all over the movies. So now that you know a little bit more about foils, you're now ready to answer your questions about foils in Pride and Prejudice. Good luck.